Tragic news from the world of wrestling as famed Japanese wrestler Antonio Inoki passed away yesterday. Inoki was known for his love of pro wrestling and even martial arts. He was a promoter of that as well, of MMA, which was amazing what he could do. Person. Antonio Inoki was born in Yokohama in 1943, the sixth son of a family of 11 kids, 7 boys. His father, Sajiro, who was a businessman and politician, died when Antonio was 5 years old. Antonio was taught karate and basketball in junior high school. But the family fell on hard times after the post-war and after the father died. So they emigrated to Brazil. Inoki won regional championships in shot put, discus, and javelin as a Brazilian and all that. Inoki would actually meet the great Japanese star Ricky Dozan at the age of 17 and went to Japan to be part of the Japan Pro Wrestling Alliance as his disciple. He also learned under Karl Gotch. One of his classmates at the JWA dojo was Giant Baba. After Ricky Dozan was murdered, Inoki was in Giant Baba's shadow until he left for the United States in 1964. After wrestling in America for 2 years, he found a home in Tokyo Pro Wrestling in 1966 and became a star. But that company folded in 1967. He went to JWA and was partners with Giant Baba, winning the NWA International Tag Team belts 4 times. Inoki would leave JWA after being fired for trying to take over the promotion. So he founded New Japan Pro Wrestling in 1972, taking on Karl Gotch in his first match. He would face Lou Fez in 1975 and took a vicious Greco-Roman backdrop within the first seconds of the match. Inoki would fight a Pakistani fighter in a special rules match, but it was a shoot, meaning it was a real fight. With the Pakistani biting Inoki in the arm, and Inoki gave him an eye poke. So, anyway, it was scripted in a sense, but the finish was not scripted. Also in New Japan, Inoki would face the great Antonio, who was a strongman turned professional wrestler. And the great Antonio would no-sell Inoki's attacks. But Inoki destroyed him by stomping his head repeatedly. Inoki was famous in New Japan Pro Wrestling for actually somehow winning the WWE Heavyweight Championship from Bob Backlund in Tokushima, Japan, which was amazing. Inoki was the WWE champion at the time. And then a week later, Backlund won the rematch. However, the WWF president said that the rematch was a no contest because of Taikuji Singh's interference, and Inoki was still champion. Inoki would refuse the title and declare vacant. Backlund would face Bobby Duncombe in a match back in the States to regain the title. Inoki's reign is not recognized by the WWE, and they still give Backlund credit for his first reign being uninterrupted from 1978 to 1983. Man, what it would have been for Inoki-san to be the WWE champion. In fact, when he was still wrestling in 1995, the Japanese and North Korean governments held a 2-day wrestling festival for peace at Pyongyang, North Korea. It drew over 340,000 fans to the 2-day event combined. Inoki would face Ric Flair in a wrestling match in North Korea, which Inoki easily won. Inoki and the Korean press went to the grave and birthplace of Ricky Dozan and paid tribute to him. Inoki's retirement from pro wrestling was due to mixed martial arts matches under professional wrestling rules and all that. Inoki would face Steven Regal at Clash of the Champions and beat him in a non-title match. Inoki beat Don Fry in his final match in 1998. Inoki's stock in New Japan was bought out by Yuke's, the Japanese video game company that was known for doing a lot of WWE SmackDown games in the U.S. However, Inoki found a new promotion called Inoki Genome Federation (IGF), and Inoki was named to the WWE Hall of Fame as part of the class of 2010, and he was inducted to the Hall of Fame by Stan Hansen. Inoki would create ISM, and unfortunately, things happen. He was actually a political guy too. He had 2 stints at the House of Councilors. So he entered politics in 1989, becoming in the House of Councilors as a representative of his own Sports and Peace Party in the House of Councilors election. Imitating Muhammad Ali in 1990, he actually traveled to Iraq for a one-man diplomatic mission and negotiated with Saddam Hussein for the release of Japanese hostages before the Gulf War happened. And then he personalized a wrestling event in Iraq for the purpose of freeing the 41 captive Japanese nationals, which was a partial success because 36 of them were freed. He got his seat retained in the House of Councilors election and failed in 95 though. Inoki tried again in politics in 2013 under the Japan Restoration Party ticket. And he did it. He won the election to return to Japan's upper house as an MP. Unfortunately, he was suspended for 30 days because of an unauthorized trip to North Korea. And he had visited on the occasion of the 60th anniversary of the armistice in the Korean War. Inoki had visited North Korea 27 times. Anyway, it happened and all that. He almost ran for governor of Tokyo in 2014, but failed. So, anyway, Inoki would not be too happy with North Korea launching ballistic missiles over Hokkaido. Inoki would travel to North Korea many times and would have troubles with the Japanese diet or the Japanese government. But he was well known for his mixed martial arts involvement in catch wrestling under Karl Gotch's name. It didn't matter what he could do and all that. Inoki actually faced 6'7" karate stylist Willie the Bear Killer Williams. Anyway, all that. A few of those fights would be a precursor to modern mixed martial arts and all that. Of course, his most famous mixed martial arts involvement was the famous fight against Muhammad Ali, June 1976 in Tokyo. Inoki actually promised Ali a rigged match to get him to fight in Japan, but when the deal materialized, Ali's camp feared that Inoki would make it a real fight, which was Inoki's intention and all that. Ali actually visited a Inoki wrestling match and witnessed the grappling ability of Inoki, so it didn't matter what happened. Unfortunately, before the match, there would be new rules that limited the moves of each man could perform. Inoki could only throw a kick if one of his knees was on the ground, had a major effect on the outcome of the fight. Ali landed 6 punches on Inoki. Inoki was basically in his defensive position almost the full duration. However, he would kick Ali repeatedly, and Ali would suffer damage to his legs as a result of Inoki's repeated kicks and all that. However, Inoki set up something called Inoki Boombaye in 2001, 2002, 2003, which would be MMA fighting and all that. Inoki was married to Misoku Baisho from 71 to 87 and having a daughter. Inoki would be confronted with spinal issues which would confine him to a wheelchair. Inoki got married 4 times. Unfortunately, all of them are dead. Inoki actually converted to Shia Islam before he went to Iraq to try to get those Japanese hostages and all that. He was actually bestowed with the name Muhammad Hussein, but he later said he was basically a Buddhist. By 2014, he stopped being a Muslim convert and became a Buddhist. Inoki was in many Japanese media things and all that. He even was on the episode in 2021 of Dark Side of the Ring about the 95 collision in Korea event with North Korea and Japan, which he fought Ric Flair and all that. He was in the film The Bad News Bears Go to Japan. The subplot would be Inoki seeking rematch with Ali. So, anyway. Marvin Lazar, who was the coach of the Bad News Bears being in Japan, would face Inoki in a match. So it's funny how Inoki was in Bad News Bears Go to Japan. I should check that out. And of course, he's known for being in the Japan show Gaki no Tsugai Rende. But there would be parodies and all that. But yeah, he was a Japanese icon, especially for New Japan Pro Wrestling, which brought Japan back on top of the world and all that. He was even ranked number 5 of the 500 best singles wrestlers of all time in 2010.